Hello everyone. In this video, we will go through a sample implementation of CSV, an application called as CSV Uploader, using UML, object-oriented analysis design, and Java. Okay, so let's see the agenda first. Okay, so the agenda is we will go through the problem statement. So once the problem statement we have gone through the problem statement, then we will see how to convert that problem statement into an use case diagram. After the use case diagram, so we will see how to derive classes, okay, using object oriented analysis design, and create a class diagram. Okay, so after the class diagram, then we will go through the sequence diagram. So using the classes which we have designed using a class diagram, so we will go through the steps in the sequence. Okay, so that sequence is basically how the user actually im- executes that particular use case. So what happens when user selects a uh, CSV file, what should be the output, okay, and what should be the error conditions that we need to handle. So all these things will be discussed in the sequence diagram. Okay, then after all this analysis and design, so in the analysis design, what you are going to do, first you are going to analyze the problem statement, then create the use case diagram. Then once the use case diagram is done, that you have understood the requirements, right? So then we need to do a design, so class level and the sequence diagram. Okay, so the class diagram will give you what all classes we need to have, and sequence diagram will give you what are the different interactions that would happen uh, in the uh, uh, between those classes to achieve the end application goal. Okay, so then once using these diagrams, we will try to generate the code and execute the project using Java and Spring Boot. Okay, so this is the agenda. Next, let's move on to understanding the problem statement. Okay, so this is the problem statement of CSV Uploader application. See, I chose a very simple application so that it would be very easy for you to understand various stages um, of the SDLC. Okay, basically using the UML and OID. Okay, so here is a problem statement. So first statement is there is a need of an application that would upload a CSV file to a database. So this is clear. We need an application to upload a CSV file and store it into the database. Okay, so the CSV file will have information about all employees. So for an example sake, I have just taken um, employee database. Okay, so the all the employees information will be there in a CSV file. So we will look at the formats in the next slide. How will there be the CSV format? Okay, then appropriate messages should be displayed if user selects a CSV file that has wrong or insufficient information. Okay, so this is a kind of a goal, I mean, where user selects a wrong CSV file, knowingly or unknowingly. So in that case, we should display an appropriate message. Okay, so next is a successful thing. So after the successful upload of CSV file to a database, we should display appropriate message. Okay, that CSV file is uploaded, and after this file is uploaded successfully, we should display all the records that are saved into a database. Okay, so you can use pagination, or you can use just to give a confirmation. If not all the records, at least display, okay, there were 100 records in this file, and 100 records have been saved into database. So some kind of confirmation information should be displayed to the user. Okay, so this is how the user will use, okay, the application. Okay, so now using this problem statement, we will go through how we can create a use case diagram. Okay, so how will we identify the test use cases, okay, and actors in the system. Okay, yeah, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the format of the CSV file. Okay, so you see the first line has a data information, employee ID, name, title, address, and mobile number. So the lines, second rows, so after the second rows you have actual data. Okay, so I've just taken 4 employee records. Okay, so this is what we need to upload to a database. So let's not talk about the details on how we are going to store. So this is only for understanding the problem. Okay, so and any in case of any misinformation, say for example one of the column is missing. Okay, then you should actually display the error, or some of the information is null, which is mandatory, that we can. So basically we have to validate the CSV file as well, okay, in the application. Okay, next. Okay, let's in this slide let's look at the different components of a use case diagram. Okay, so the various components are the actors, okay, and use cases, system, and relationships. Okay, so let's look at them each one after another. So actors, we will have the primary actors, secondary actors. So the primary actors are the one who are actually uh, the actual users of the system. Okay, they are directly interacting with the system. Okay, and the secondary actors are the one who may sit in the background and help in completing the use case. Okay, so we will look at the examples a little later. Okay, then you have these use cases. Okay, so the actual use cases of the system, so they will be represented by ellipses in the diagrams. Okay, then you have a system. Okay, the application itself is a system, or the software which you are writing is a system. So that is represented by a rectangle box. Okay, which will include all the test use cases. Okay, then you have relationship between these different components. Okay, so let's look at them step by step. Okay, so let's look at the next slide. Okay, so this is the use case diagram. Okay, so this is the actual use case diagram of our CSV uploader. Okay, so the various components as I mentioned. So the user on the left hand side is a primary actor. Okay, and it interacts with he interacts with the various use cases. Okay, so in this case it's he is interacting with only the upload CSV use case. Okay, so the use case is always represented by this ellipse. Okay, so you have this upload CSV, validate CSV, save CSV, a display of uploaded data and table, then show invalid CSV error. These are all use cases. Okay, and these use cases are the part of a system, okay, which is the CSV uploader. So the CSV uploader is a system. So any system will be represented as a rectangle here, right, and it will contain all the use cases. Okay, in this case you don't have a secondary actor. Okay, so secondary actor is not involved here. So I'm not put it. So always the secondary actor is depicted at the right hand side of this system. Okay, so what does a secondary actor will do? So in this case there is no, but I will give an example where you can use. So let's assume that this validate CSV, right? This is automated procedure. Okay, this is automated procedure which the system which actually validate the CSV file, right? Let's suppose this validate CSV is replaced by one person. Okay, and his job is to validate the CSV. So what happens? Let's say for example, user will upload the file, and it will go to that person for validation, and he will check the format of the CSV file, and then only if he selects okay, it is fine, then he will say okay, he will select it is the valid, it's a valid in CSV file, and you will say go ahead and upload. Okay, so then so that validation is done by the actual person. Okay, so then you that user who actually validate the CSV file becomes a secondary actor. Okay, so that person is not involved in our system right now. Okay, so I have not mentioned in that there is a secondary actor. So who is a secondary actor? Secondary actor is other a user who will actually validate the CSV file, because we don't have that system and it is automatically done. I have not mentioned that particular actor. I just give an example where the second actors will come in. Okay, so here we don't have a secondary actor. I have just mentioned. So secondary actor is our system itself who actually validates the CSV file. Okay, So now let's look at the relationships. So there are multiple relationships here, right? So you have so these relationships are always represented by these arrow marks, right? So they include the extent, and this is a plain. It's not an arrow mark; it's a dash. It's a simple line which connects the user and the use case. Okay, let's look at them each one of them. So if there is a communication happening between the user and the use case, okay, it is always represented by this. Plain dark uh, line, okay, which connects the user and the use case. Okay, so that is one relationship. The next relationship is include. Okay, so whenever user invokes this upload CSV, the validate CSV will always happen, right? So that is included as a part of upload CSV. So it is always mandatorily present that CSV file has to be mandatorily validated. Okay, so it's a compulsion. So that is always included in the block CSV. So include, right? So that's a relationship. Then we have the save CSV database. So that is also a compulsion. So we need to always include that as a part of the upload CSV, where actually we read the CSV file and upload it to the database, right? Then next thing, so next thing is we have this extend relationship. So the display of uploaded file data file. So this display of uploaded data file is a kind of a confirmation given to the user that the CSV file was uploaded successfully. So that's a confirmation message. So what if the actual upload has failed for some reason? Then this particular use case will not come at all, right? So this successful confirmation message will not come into picture when there is an error, right? So it happens only in the condition, that condition. So that's why it has an extend relationship, right? So it is not always executed, right? This use case. Let's look at the other use case, which is the error condition, right? So when there is no upload of the file and it has failed for some reasons, or because the invalid file or the save as failed, you have to display that show invalid CSV error or upload failed, right? So that message becomes a only extended message, and it is not always executed. It is as a part of it's not a part of actual part of upload CSV. It is happened only when the error condition occurs, right? So that becomes extension extended use case. Okay, so these extended use cases are not a mandatorily part of the upload CSV. They are only on certain conditions they become part of the main use case. Okay, so this is how the use case diagram is written for our upload CSV uploader. Okay, so now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so next thing is uh, so I will talk about a tool which I used to create a CSV, the use case diagram. Okay, so this is an application called as draw.io. Okay, so it's a free tool which you can use uh, to create a use case diagram. So okay, so now how do you create a use cases? By looking at the problem statement. Let's look at the problem statement. I will go back to the slides. Um okay, let's go back. Okay, so you see this, right? See, there is a need for an application that would upload a CSV file. Okay, so upload a CSV file is a use case, right? So that's use case means that this is a scenario which user uses our system, right? So that becomes one use case. So I have created one. Okay, so this upload CSV. So next is CSV file will have information about employees. So there is nothing use case here. It's just a information for the user. Okay, next, appropriate messages should be displayed if the user selects a CSV file that has wrong information. So this is error condition which we need to handle, and we have a use case for that, which is show invalid CSV error. Okay, and after successful upload of CSV file to database, okay, so we need to upload a CSV file to the database, right? So that is nothing but your validate the save CSV to the database. Okay, then after successful upload, appropriate message should be displayed and display all the records that I have saved into the database. Okay, so this is one confirmation message which we need to give to the user. So that I have mentioned it here, and a separate use case. Okay, so these three use cases, right, the validate CSV, save CSV, and display CSV, will not be actually invoked directly by the user. Okay, and they have include relationship with the upload CSV, which is a main uh, use case which will be executed by the user. Okay, so next move on to the next slides. Okay, so I will stop this video here. Okay, so uh, what you guys can do, just pick up some problem statements from internet and then try to write this use case diagrams, okay, as a part of exercise. So in next steps, okay, next videos, I will try to create a sequence diagram, class diagrams, and I will try to show how to implement these sequence diagram and class diagram using Java and Spring Boot. Okay, thanks guys, happy learning.